All right, let's explore how Portland's landscape was formed. So, 20 million years ago, this area, Portland, it's covered by this shallow ocean. It's all covered by water. What do you think happened to make all that water disappear? Well, Portland lies in a region of Oregon called the Willamette Valley. Now, we've learned what a valley is. Valley is a long, narrow lowland between ranges of mountains or hills. The Willamette River flows through the valley, and the Multnomah people who lived here called it Willamette, which means peaceful. Because it's a valley, that means it's bordered by mountains on either side. So to the west, there's the Coast Range, and to the east is the Cascade Range. Earthquakes created the Coast Range. So it created it by the tectonic plates moved together, creating an earthquake, and they kind of pushed and folded the land up. And that's how some mountains are formed. That's how the Coast Range was formed. You can see the picture here of the land being folded by the earthquake activity. There's another way also that mountains are formed, and that's by volcanoes. And volcanoes form the Cascade Mountains. Let's check out this little picture here. It shows the main features of a volcano. I think you'll learn more about that next year. So volcanoes form the Cascade Range. Mount Hood itself is a volcano. And we have remains of volcanoes right here in Portland, as you'll learn in a minute. So there's a lot of hills around Portland, on both the east and the west side of the city. Some of those hills are formed by earthquakes, and some are formed by, you guessed it, volcanoes. The earthquake formed hills are called the West Hills. That's what we're near right now at PJA. These West Hills were formed by that folding of the earth. Now, volcanoes, the hills that were volcanoes are very small now. That's because they've been worn down by years and years of rain and snow and ice, otherwise known as erosion. Those volcanoes are in east part of town, Rocky Butte, Powell Butte, Kelly Butte, Mount Scott, Mount Tabor. You may have been to some of these. These are all old volcanoes. Now, also 20,000 years ago, during the Ice Age, things happened to sort of change the landscape. I'm not talking about the movie Ice Age or Ice Age 2, okay? I'm talking about the real Ice Age, where the northern parts of the Earth were covered with ice and glaciers, as you can see from the map here. Well, eventually those all started to melt, and that caused really huge floods that came roaring through this area. And that sort of changed the landscape a bit too. It deposited 150 feet of silt, sand, and gravel were deposited in this area of the Willamette Valley, which probably contributes to the richness of the soil as well. So there you have it. The landscape of Portland, as we know it now, was formed over hundreds of thousands of years by volcanoes, earthquakes, and the Ice Age.